There is no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure in most of our minds, that he will use every resource and power in his command to stop from losing power in the midterm elections. I won't list the ways because we don't know all the ways he'll try to steal the election. Remember that this guy tried to overthrow the government by violent... Thank you, everybody. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, Miles.
Yeah, buddy.
5 months ago, we should have fixed this. 5 months ago, the ACLU asked me to sign a letter supporting Jimmy Kimmel when he was taken off the air by Trump administration censorship and ABC complicity. The letter began, "We, the people, must never accept government threats to our freedom of speech. Efforts by leaders to pressure artists, journalists, and companies with retaliation for their speech strike at the heart of what it means to live in a free country. 100%. I'm passionate about free speech and a huge supporter of the ACLU. So along with nearly 500 other actors, directors, musicians, and more than 50,000 ACLU supporters, of course I signed the letter. The letter also included a statement about how our First Amendment rights transcend politics, other beliefs. That part began. Regardless of our political affiliation or whether we engage in politics or not, we all love our country. I choke on that phrase, we all love our country, because our country isn't so lovable right now. In the current climate, declaring love for our country is like an abused spouse professing love for their abuser. I've never thought of citizenship as being an act of love. I've tried to be a good citizen. I pay my taxes, vote, obey the law, recycle, stay within the speed limit. Most of the time, not always. In return, I'm grateful for the opportunities and freedoms my family, my fellow citizens, my immigrant ancestors have enjoyed. But my heart is broken as I see them being taken away, both the freedoms and increasingly my fellow citizens. I'm not going anywhere. This is my house, my home. But I have to tell you, I'm not too crazy about living in this dysfunctional relationship. Our country, as President Lincoln reminded us, is meant to be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The people. Tragically, we're now in a country of, by, and for a handful of dishonest, greedy, and cruel authoritarians. So, love our country? Let me ask you, can you love a country where our neighbors are shot down in the streets by masked government thugs? No. Can you love a country that denies health care for tens of millions of our fellow citizens? No. Can you love a country that ends contributions to sick and starving people around the world, causing hundreds of thousands of preventable deaths, many of them innocent children? No. Can you love a country that trashes our economy to give tax breaks to its billionaire cronies? No. Can you love a country that denies science and sacrifices the climate, the very air our children breathe? No. Can you love a country that pardons violent criminals and protects pedophiles? No. I could go on and on and on and on. The bottom line is that I feel betrayed by my country. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to return to the values that gave us our strength and humanity. And turn its back on the daily atrocities of the Trump regime and their enablers. Despite the theme tonight, I didn't come here to talk about the State of the Union. That's too depressing. And right now I'm more concerned about what the State of the Union will be in November. Because a failing, flailing, and desperate Donald Trump is even more dangerous than the tyrant we've already experienced. There is no doubt in my mind, and I'm sure in most of our minds, that he will use every resource and power in his command to stop from losing power in the midterm elections. I won't list the ways because we don't know all the ways he'll try to steal the election. Remember that this guy tried to overthrow the government by violently attacking the Capitol on January 6th. Who saw that coming? And that was just a rehearsal for what's likely to come. Who's going to stop him? Yes. Who is going to stop him? We, the people. Because we are the only ones who can stop him. Like you, I'm filled with anger and outrage. But I'm saved from total despair by rays of hope. And I'm very careful these days about using the word hope, because I've seen so many of our hopes for our country destroyed. But there's no reason to think we're not up to the challenge. We have a solid first line of defense with organizations like Defiance.org. We have judges whose courtrooms have been corrupted, haven't been corrupted. And then most importantly, there's us, the people. We saw what can be accomplished in the example of the courageous people of Minneapolis. In the face of deadly attacks by Trump's private army, they stood up to threats and violence and literally ran their asses out of town. Mayor Fry, congratulations to you and your people. Inspiring. And I'm also inspired by the No Kings demonstrations. Millions of people all over the country gathered together to non-violently demand democracy. The next rally is March 28th. If you've ever loved your country, this is a time to show it. This is our wake-up call. We don't know everything this authoritarian president and his stooges have in mind, but we know something is coming. And if you want our leaders to be accountable, if you're devoted to the Constitution and the rule of law, if you want the United States of America to be worthy of your love, be ready to take this to the streets together, and we will take our country back. Thank you.
Just moments ago, on a stage set against the backdrop of a counter-State of the Union gathering, Robert De Niro delivered a speech that was less a performance and more a political alarm bell. He recalled signing a letter from the ACLU defending Jimmy Kimmel after alleged censorship, invoking the First Amendment as a line that must never be crossed. But what began as a defense of free expression quickly became something larger. A sweeping indictment of the current political climate, and a direct call to stop Donald Trump from regaining or retaining power. De Niro's words were not cautious. They were not diplomatic. They were raw, emotional, and deliberately provocative. He spoke of betrayal, of heartbreak, of a nation he said no longer feels lovable in its current state. He questioned whether citizens can truly love a country that, in his view, has strayed from its founding promises. He warned that a failing, flailing, and desperate leader could become even more dangerous. And he asked the question repeatedly: who is going to stop him? In that repetition lies the deeper significance of the moment. This was not merely a celebrity expressing an opinion. It was a public figure leveraging cultural influence to frame the coming election as a battle for the soul of the republic. De Niro invoked Abraham Lincoln's vision of a government of the people, by the people, for the people, only to argue that America is drifting toward rule by a narrow, self-interested few. He referenced January 6th as evidence of what he believes is a willingness to undermine democratic norms. And he concluded with a call for mobilization, urging Americans to organize, demonstrate, and prepare for what he described as an escalating struggle. What does this moment reveal? It reveals a country where political conflict has transcended policy disputes and entered the realm of existential language, where rhetoric is no longer about tax rates or regulatory frameworks, but about tyranny, betrayal, and rescue, where artists step into civic arenas not as entertainers but as activists, and where public discourse feels less like debate and more like confrontation. There is a constitutional dimension here that cannot be ignored. De Niro began with free speech, defending the principle that government must not pressure artists or media voices into silence. That principle is foundational. The First Amendment is not partisan. It protects the conservative commentator as surely as the late-night host. It shields dissent in every direction. And yet, the very fact that a Hollywood actor feels compelled to frame his speech as resistance speaks to the intensity of distrust between institutions and citizens. But there is another layer. When political leaders are described as authoritarians, when elections are framed as battles against tyranny, when phrases like "steal the election" are invoked, the stakes are elevated to historic proportions. That language energizes supporters. It also deepens division. It can inspire civic engagement. It can also harden tribal lines. De Niro spoke of heartbreak, of freedoms he believes are being taken away. He spoke of fear, of what may come next. He spoke of hope cautiously as something fragile but not extinguished. And in doing so, he mirrored the emotional temperature of millions of Americans who feel that the system no longer represents them. Yet democracy is not sustained by emotion alone. It is sustained by institutions, by courts that function, by elections that are conducted and certified, by peaceful transfers of power, by citizens who participate not only through protest, but through voting, dialogue, and civic responsibility. The strength of the American system has always rested in its capacity to absorb anger without collapsing into chaos. What we witnessed tonight was a reflection of a broader national struggle, a collision between cultural influence and political authority, between celebrity voice and elected office, between those who see alarm bells and those who see exaggeration. It was a reminder that in modern America, the stage and the Senate chamber are no longer separate worlds. They intersect. They amplify each other. They shape perception. The deeper question is not whether one agrees with Robert De Niro. The deeper question is what it means for a nation when faith in leadership fractures so dramatically that public figures feel compelled to issue warnings of impending danger. That fracture is the real story. That tension is the undercurrent of this era. Democracy depends on disagreement. It does not survive contempt for the process itself. It requires vigilance. It demands accountability. But it also requires restraint, a shared commitment to resolve conflict within constitutional boundaries. As this political season intensifies, voices like De Niro's will continue to echo across the public square. Some will applaud, others will condemn. But the responsibility ultimately returns to the citizens, to we the people, as he put it, not as a slogan, but as a constitutional reality. Because in the end, no actor, no president, no rally, and no speech determines the fate of the republic alone. The future is decided in ballots cast, laws debated, courts deliberating, and citizens refusing to surrender their civic duty to despair or fury. History will judge this era not by the volume of its rhetoric, but by whether its institutions held firm. And that responsibility belongs to all of us. If you believe in accountability, transparency, and the rule of law, if you want clear, unfiltered analysis of the forces shaping America's future, subscribe to Liberty Report USA. Support our work to expose the truth.